Hello everybody! Today we are discussing the only ski resort that can start a nationwide labor movement, Park City. For those of you who are not familiar with the series, here are the rules. The two of us have each come up with 4 improvements or enhancements that we believe would significantly ameliorate the issues of the resort. We don't know what each other is proposing yet. Could be something as absurd as a high-speed rail line or entire base village, or something as mundane as a new magic carpet or parking garage. This is all hypothetical, meaning we don't think too terribly hard about permissions or money, although those are considered in most projects. We're going to critique and question as we go, and at the end, you all will put your thoughts down in the comments below, along with telling us whose plan is better. Based on the comments section of each video in the series, we will keep score over time to see who is the better planner according to the people. Simple enough? Alright, let's begin. In this episode, we're only going to cover the town of Park City, with the canyon side getting its own episode in the future. Currently, the score is 3 for me and 1 for Arjun. Being that Arjun is down, he gets to pitch first. Alright everybody, welcome to How We Would Fix It Park City. Now there are a couple of nuances with this. Of course, we all know that Park City is not particularly fond of projects that go on in their backyard. So we're going to go ahead and proceed with this as if we don't need any approvals from the town, because otherwise none of this is ever going through. Arjun here has not been to Park City, so we're going to go a little bit easy on him. It's tough because it is such a complicated mountain, but it's already got such a robust lift network. But whenever you're ready, Arjun, you want to go ahead and take it away with your first project.
Sure. Yeah, as ShangRei mentioned, I have not been to this mountain. I don't really have interest in going into this mountain. So my projects are based off of your guys' comments, Insider's Guide, and like my dad's 2 days there. So here we go. Hopefully this is not a disaster. My first project proposed is something I've heard a lot of people complain about, and I understand that it was pitched to be upgraded a few years ago, but then of course the town blocked it, and it's a Silver Level 8. I've heard that this area gets bad lines, so I'm hoping that giving it that 8-seater upgrade will help alleviate some of that.
Yeah, I mean, that's the issue you run into Silverload, is that it's basically the only way out for everything that flows down into there. So that is, the definition of a choke point, and it gets really bad lines, by far the worst at Park City. So to upgrade that to an 8 would definitely help. I do have a little bit of a concern at the top, though, because that uppermost stretch of Home Run gets really, really congested as it is, with 2 6-packs and a quad already dropping off there. If you upgrade that now, you got a 6 and 8 and a quad. I do wonder, about the safety of upper Home Run there with just that many people on it. But I definitely see the vision, and I'll go ahead and transition right here to my first project, because my first project, and this is a big one, is also going to address that issue. All right, so my first project, and this is a big one, so I'm going to count this as 2 projects really. My first project is replacing the town lift with a twist. Now the town lift, it's old, it's slow, it's low capacity. I mean, it's really a painful ride and not that many people enjoy it, but it is a hallmark of Park City, coming right out of downtown. So I would like to replace it with a gondola, as a lot of people would, but I don't want it to run in the same alignment as town currently does, because then you're stuck just either going back to the base area or to Bonanza. What I've instead proposed is an alternative alignment that runs out towards Crescent Ridge and then turns with a mid-station there and then goes down to Miners Camp. So that high point would be the mid-station on Crescent Ridge, and you would ride it up from Miners Camp or from the town and unload at the middle. At the middle, you have this intersection where you can go over to the Blacks, Willie's Run, and Silver King. You can go down half load to Claim Jumper, which is a green, or I'm proposing this new green traverse that'll switch back a couple times and then take you over to Bonanza. And then, of course, you also have access to the King Khan access trail, which will take you to the King Khan pod. So you have access to King Khan, Miners Camp, Main Base, Bonanza from there on trails of all difficulty levels. You can get people out of Miners Camp, take some of those lines away from Silverload. You allow for some of those beginners who want to lap Claim Jumper to lap Claim Jumper without having to deal with that super congested part of upper Home Run. We get people out of the town to a much more helpful place on the mountain for them. And if they want to stay on that gondola, they can go up and over, come on down, go right across the Quicksilver gondola and go up that, and they are in the canyon side of the mountain in 25 minutes.
Okay, yeah, my question is, I haven't been to Park City, but just looking at the Google Earth, that's a very, very small space. So my immediate question for you is, how are you going to fit a high-capacity detachable gondola in that small spot when currently a fixed-grip triple, from what I understand, occupies it?
It'll be tough, but the specific alignment actually works out really well so that the gondola comes down and runs right along 8th Street, so we're not displacing any homes or anything like that, really any properties. There would need to be an offset tower or maybe even a portal tower at one of those intersections along 8th Street, I believe. So that would be a little bit disruptive, but nothing too crazy. And then I mapped it out, and the terminal can fit in that plaza, but the alignment, it would conflict with the bridge. So what I'm thinking is you could have that gondola go out of the second story of a building. You'll see that a lot in Austria, right? You go on ground level, you ride up escalators to then board, and then it'll just shoot you right out and it'll clear that bridge easily.
Yeah, that sounds good to me. I mean, again, I don't really have the experience to really argue with this or to point out any critiques. It sounds really good on paper. I like the fact that you're adding you're basically giving people the ability to access terrain, no matter their ability levels, right out the gates. So I think it's a cool project.
Yeah, I mean, it's really important to me, to be as efficient as possible, and this solves so many issues. We replace town, we get people to a good place on the mountain, and, one of the biggest things of all, we're going to help out Silverlode, and we're going to ease those lift lines a little bit by providing a better route for beginners to lap claim jumper and a better route to get out of there and get to other parts of the mountain.
All right, my next project, I scrolled deep through the comments of Liftblog, and by deep I meant I just scrolled down a little bit to find this stuff, and I found that Pioneer at the bottom of McConkey's, as you guys probably know more than me, but it's a very slow lift. I think it services some decent looking terrain on paper, and I think upgrading it to a high-speed quad could be nice because, from what I understand, it provides similar terrain comparable to Silverlode, so I'm hoping this being upgraded will just direct more people there. And then also, from what I saw, I think you have to take one of these egress trails to get out of the McConkey's kind of area, to get all the way down to, I think the lift is Bonanza, whereas here this would now be your primary means of egress, which would kind of ease lines down there. So I hope I got all my facts right, but that's my second project.
Yeah, you got your facts pretty darn good because I proposed the exact same thing. So that's my other project. Yeah. So what I'm going to do is just expand on yours. Pioneer is old, slow, fixed grip triple. It serves some good lower level terrain, so you run into issues with people trying to load this fixed grip lift, which leads to a lot of stoppages. It has some well-documented mechanical issues over the past couple of years. It didn't even open until February of this past season because they were trying to fix it. And it serves a really, really good variety of terrain. You got a couple of good blue groomers. There's some actually pretty gnarly stuff in those trees underneath the lift. Bluebonnet Bowl is a nice, it's a fun little mogul field, really. It's what it is. It's not really a bowl. It's so small. But you catch my drift, right? It needs a high-speed upgrade to bring more people into that area and take some pressure off of the other lifts because that is a very underutilized but also well-rounded pod. Simple as that.
Good. I'm glad to know that the people of Liftblog are a lot smarter than I am. So thank you, people of Liftblog, for giving me this idea.
Hey, look, that implies that I'm also smarter than the people of Liftblog, which we know is not a guarantee. So, hold your horses a little bit. Cool. Don't get too excited. But yeah, no, the fact that we're both thinking about this, it definitely shows that there is a need there.
Okay, for my next project, this is also something that was proposed a long time ago, but it was blocked by the town. It's
really. I honestly, I did not know that. I did not know it was ever proposed.
Yeah,
huh.
But anyway, it's kind of an inferior version of your project, which is just a simple, plain old town gondola upgrade with no thought as to where it should end up, because I don't really know this mountain, so I have nothing fancy going on. I like your idea. I'm going to just say right now, I just like your idea more of having it go up to Crescent Ridge and then down. It just seems to make a lot more sense in that case. You're getting people to a place where they can actually access good terrain, and I just like your project better. But yeah, what I have is just a normal town gondola upgrade.
Yeah, it makes sense. And then you put it on the same line as the current town lift, and you don't run into the issues that I was running into. I think you'd be able to, I mean, especially like you said, a 6-person gondola, that's, you'll be able to fit that into the plaza just fine. You almost, you could like do a mid station. I mean, there's plenty of flat land where it ends. You could almost do a mid station from there and then turn it up towards like, screw it, just put it up at Jupiter Peak. But like, you know what I'm trying to say here.
Right.
You could extend that. You could make it more versatile. But yeah, I like the idea. Replace town lift, because that thing is a bucket of bolts.
Let me ask you, genuine question. Does this thing actually see like lines and stuff? Because I would have expected like, okay, main lodge, or not main lodge, main base, I could see lines and stuff, but this seems for specifically people in town to use and stuff. And I don't know, I just want to get your perspective on that. Does this actually get lines?
As far as I'm aware, it doesn't really get too bad of lines, but here's the thing. The bus system right now, it takes you, if you're staying like somewhere offsite, you get on the bus, it takes you to the main base, and then it takes you to basically the town lift, right? It drops you off right there. So if you were to upgrade the town lift, you might have people who are like on the bus and they're like, oh, well, the main base looks to be having really long lift lines based on this webcam or whatever. Let's just go to town gondola instead. Then, of course, yeah, you have all the people in town. And then the final piece to that is, this is Park City. They want it to look like Park City. They need a flagship sort of lift,
Gotcha. Okay, cool. That's cool to know.
Okay, so this will be my final project because that first one I did was so big. But for this project, we're gonna keep it pretty simple, and we're just gonna go with a Summit House replacement. Now, the Summit House, as it currently stands, it's right next to the top of Bonanza, which is the highest lift out of those 3. It makes it really, really annoying to try to get to it from Motherlode or Silverlode. And then, of course, it is pathetically small, okay? You go in there and there's like, 12 tables. So what they need to do is they need to replace it, and they can put it on the other side of Home Run here, have a much bigger footprint without disrupting any of the existing ski runs. Build it 2 stories, make it real nice, make it their pinnacle. That takes pressure off of Miners Camp, that takes pressure off of Mid-Mountain Lodge. It clears up that area where Home Run comes in, so there's not like a building in the middle of the ski run. And then you can take part of the footprint of the old building and turn that into a beach and an ice bar or something like that, because Lord knows people love those ice bars, and that has a great view looking out over that cliff. So let's not waste that. But the key here is just newer, bigger, better facility in a better location for everyone.
Cool, dude. Yeah, I don't really have much to really point out here or argue. I like it. I hate when, I know there are other resorts where you have something similar where you have lifts lower down and then you have to kind of skate back up right off the bat. I think Lake Louise kind of comes to mind, where you have the ptarmigan lift at the bottom and then you have the hut higher up and you have to just kind of skate up if you don't want to just take the lift up for another ride. So I hate when that happens. So yeah, I really like this idea. I think having that ice bar there, not wasting that view, is also a nice little touch because, yeah, just kind of...
Look, here's the thing. It makes Vail more money. How are they going to say no to that?
Exactly. Good old American capitalism.
And we're leaving it off on that.
Alrighty, for my last project. This was also proposed a while back. Are we sensing a theme here now? Yeah, it's basically an Eagle upgrade / realignment. Exact same thing that was proposed a while back. Start at the parking lot. Take it up to a little bit down Crescent Ridge, kind of adjacent to, I think the lift is King Khan. And yeah, I think this is great because, again, I've never been here, but I imagine this main base area gets really crowded. So having another lift on the opposite end of the parking lot compared to all the other lifts, I think will do good for people parked there. And you're getting people access to terrain that would have otherwise,
Yeah.
well,
So for just a very brief background for anybody who doesn't know what we're referring to here, Eagle 6 and Silverlode 8, both of these projects that Arjun is proposing, they were approved. Parks Vale Resorts ordered the lifts. They had them, and I believe this was in the summer of 22, or maybe it was even 2021, and the town of Park City said, no, you are not putting those lifts in. So those lifts are both now up at Whistler Blackcomb. But that's the story behind Silverlode and Eagle. So the thing with Eagle, yeah, everybody right now, they have to ride up like first time or something stupid to get to the main lifts, or they got to walk up the hill a decent ways. You put that down at the bottom corner of the parking lot, it makes a lot of people happy, and you increase your out-of-base capacity, which you can almost never say no to that. Very solid project overall. I really like the way you're thinking there, and not much else to add beyond that.
cool.
Okay, that seems to wrap it up for proposals and challenges. Be sure to let us know who won down below, and of course, we would love to hear your guys' thoughts on our projects and what you would propose as well, so leave all that down below. As always, thank you all for watching. All our love, we're out.